Howdy do, and with this Minecraft video, it's going to be a build video that I wanted to get out by the time the Rise of Skywalker came out in theaters, which is about now at the time of recording. And this video is going to actually be about some Clone Wars era ships, particularly the Acclamator or Acclamator, however you pronounce it, assault ship of the Republic. But I'm just kind of spoiling also over here that I'm going to eventually be building the Magnificent class for the CIS as well. And over here, I basically made this in a super flat creative world. We're gonna go over to the assault ship now, but there were like two villages placed strategically next to each of the ships. And if you're here from like the old Minecraft videos from way back when I first tried to build the assault ship, I did decide that I was gonna make the world around the fleet battle that I was gonna eventually make in the sky Coruscant. So obviously, the Confederacy doesn't really have a foot holding on Coruscant, but I decided to experiment with some shapes and stuff over there. So we eventually build like a core ship and things like that, the Lucre Hulk. We have some experience in that aspect, but these two villages, which I also originally had like mobs and stuff around too, so you see like potholes of explosions and stuff. That was kind of like the Camp Confederacy. Over here is more of the Republic Retreat, where again, more experimenting, and in the distance, you can see it rendering now, is the Acclamator assault ship. Now, one thing I want you to understand about this assault ship is, unlike the first time that I built it, this time, well, first and foremost, I put a lot more color into it as well. So, like in the show, the Clone Wars TV show, the CGI show that came out in 2008, one of the things you'll notice about the open circle fleet, or like the Coruscant defense fleet when they had acclamators, especially I believe in the episode Grievous Intrigue, where they had to go rescue a Jedi Master that was captured near the Seleucid mine system, was even the acclamators had these like red markings on them. Now granted, I took a little bit of liberty in experimenting with the shapes and like the coloring and like the dimensions and stuff, and it's not perfect. I think there's still some things I want to change and whatnot, but there was actually a second time I tried to rebuild this after I lost the first one, and it kind of got corrupted, so I'm kind of paranoid. So I'm like, you know what, even though it's not finished yet, let me at least show you guys what I've got so far, and you guys can kind of see it and have some idea about it. We're gonna go inside afterwards too. I just want to get you guys to see the outside as well, the engines and the back part over here, what the bridge tower kind of looks like. It's maybe a bit too thick, I don't know yet. Also, sorry for that, I also kind of based the interior of this ship off of every iteration of the Acclamator or Acclamator, however you pronounce it again, assault ship that I could kind of go over. So there's the version, for example, in the cross section that has the interior a certain kind of way that I tried to implement some of those parts. There is the version in the CGI show, which really pertains to the bridge specifically, and we'll get there when we get to the bridge. And there's also the version in Elite Squadron. If you didn't know, originally there was going to be a Star Wars Battlefront 3 way back when the first and second Battlefronts were made back in like 2005. And the third one was going to be made, and you're going to be able to go into space from ground battles and stuff like that. So I'm explaining what this hangar is right here in case you don't know it or you never played Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron on the PSP. Because when kind of some things changed, I believe Radical Studios was going to do it. Radical Studios, I think, got it after they weren't able to actually do Battlefront 3 due to some issues with like LucasArts. I don't remember the exacts of it, but basically the assets of the game went to a studio on the PSP, and they ended up making the game on the PSP instead. And in that game, in the space battles, when you're playing as the Republic, your flagship is actually an Acclamator class assault ship up in space that has this open hangar that you can go through like this. And you have ships here, mostly LAATs and V-Wings, which are converted into like a basic fighter instead of the ARC 170, which is in the game, which is kind of interesting. And so what you would do is you would either be in the ship already because you're the Republic, or if you're the Confederacy, you have to lower the ship's shields before you can go inside of it. And then there was like two different places you could go to. Like unlike the Battlefront 2 2005 classic version where you could just fly to the enemy ship with the shields up, you could only get into the ship when the shields were down. And that's because if you go down this hallway, for example, if you came in, you went to the right door, you go into what was the reactor room. If you destroyed the reactor, in about 60 seconds, the entire ship would actually explode, and you would need to evacuate. And it kind of looked a little bit like this. These are supposed to represent like wall panels and windows and computers and such. Again, I'm going to kind of maybe build it up a bit more and stuff later on. These are not necessarily placeholders either, because I kind of built it based off of the first one that I made. But this was one room. This was kind of the main room if you were invading as the Confederacy, trying to destroy this reactor, because I'd send the whole ship down. You go up 2 ramps, and you would go to this room. Now again, if you didn't play the game, what this room basically was, especially this console over here, was because the ground battles and the space battles were the same thing, what you could do, which was pretty neat, is actually bomb the ground battle from your orbital ship. So there was strategy and actually wanted to knock out the enemy capital ship, even though the game was designed in a way that you could win the whole thing through just the ground battle or even through just the space battle. but it was the first one to 1,000 points basically. So kind of like the space battle, where it was like the first one to 180 points in the classic version, but it was 1,000. And capital ships were worth 200 points if you did destroy them, so it was worth going out of your way to destroy them. But there were people that obviously didn't like space battles, so this was kind of an alternative to that. You could just fight the whole ground battle if you wanted to. This room was kind of like a storage container room, but these doors were actually escape pods. So essentially, if you're playing as the Republic, your ship is going down, you can use an escape pod to get back down to the planet before your ship explodes if you can't fight your way out to your hangar. Also, if you were the Confederacy, same thing. You destroy the enemy ship, you don't think you'll be able to make it back to your ship, because for some reason, when you land a ship inside of an enemy ship, it explodes after a while, even if no one's shooting it. Or if you start it in the ground, or you start it in the space battle, you started in the ship, things were going well, and you wanted to get to the ground battle quickly because the ground battle was going pretty badly, and then you could actually do that as well, use escape pods to go down there, and that's what those holes were. And then you look back around, you're back into this hangar. Now, one of the things about the cross-section version of the ship too is this is where basically those giant ramps would be out that soldiers and ATTEs would march up to as well. This is kind of like that, but one thing I want to note real quick on the underside is this hangar, because it's relative to the Clone Wars CGI TV show. A lot of drop ships, especially in the second Battle of Geonosis, I believe episode 5 of season 2, they dropped out the bottom of the ship. So I kind of made this pseudo hangar door. I don't have redstone and stuff for it to really work, but I put it right here because if that is the case, then obviously these side parts wouldn't exist and you drop down instead. What about the rest of the ship though? So this wasn't really in the cross sections or anything really, it's just the only way I could have access to get up to this part of the ship up here. And granted, I cheated a little bit in terms of I wanted to kind of get some practice, because eventually we're going to also be building a Venator class cruiser, which is the Republic attack cruiser, also known as the Republic Star Destroyer, depending who you ask, right? And so this hangar way is kind of simulating that a little bit of practice for that. So basically, if you had vehicles and stuff down there, you could bring them up this lift to get them up to here instead. And these were kind of just like the Venator kind of esque hangar bays, right? You kind of fly out here if the trench doors were open. Oh, I'm sinking. Don't sink. Let's not die. And you could fly out through here. I used to have this open. In the first build I did of this, I usually had this open too, but I thought it was better to close it to give you an idea maybe of what exactly it was I was trying to do here. In the cross section, and I got this part wrong, I think this part's full of generators in the center and stuff, but there actually is space on the sides here for there's racks that you can carry the gunships on to get them to certain parts of the assault ship, because of course the Acclamator 1 class, I believe, was more of the drop ship than the 2 class. The 2 class was more of an assault ship in terms of base Delta Zero and stuff like that, but the 1 class was more of a troop drop ship, so they needed a lot of space to store both troops, vehicles, and the like. Now, kind of more with the cross section then is why this is still a lot of open space, because I'm not entirely sure what exactly I want to do with it yet. Obviously there's some generators and stuff that need to be eventually built, but on top of that there's also more space for vehicles and stuff somewhere up here. Not obviously all of this was open space, because obviously you need power grid, weapons and stuff like that to defend itself, etc. Landing gear, even if I want to go that route and stuff like that. But this is kind of just open space on both sides right now, because I'm still kind of deciding what I want to do there. So if you have any ideas, feel free to comment with those ideas in the comments down below. Now there's 2 doors here. We went through the one on the far left because I wanted to show you guys this. In the cross section, and I imagine it's probably in all versions of the ship, there's a giant core reactor generator built within kind of the superstructure of the ship. It kind of is something in all Quat Drive ships, as a matter of fact. The Venator is no exception in the cross section of the ship. And even the Imperial Star Destroyer kind of has this generator engine that's going right down in the middle back part of the ship. Now, this isn't really all open space around it. I just wanted to be able to maneuver in here so I could show you guys it and show you how it connects down to the engines down here and stuff like that. Eventually, this will all get filled in and this won't be able to be accessed. But for the sake of this video, again, I want to kind of show you guys what it was. And so I need the space to maneuver in here, kind of put some lights up everywhere so you can see what's actually up in here. And yeah, the main reactor. The other direction though, and what that leads to, which I'll show you right now, of course, is just a hallway. Again, on the other side, same concept, a lot of open space, because we can decide what we want to do about that maybe as together. There's a lot of bats though, if the Republic has a lot of bat troopers, I guess. This door is kind of this is particular right here, it's just a turbo lift so we can get up to this hallway. In this hallway, however, what I decided to do, I saw this in the Venator, and I swore I saw this in the Acclamator as well, kind of like a control flight deck for the hangar right here, so you can see stuff coming in and out. And the reason why I made this hangar too, if you go to the 2003 cartoon Clone Wars, there was episode 4, I believe, with Kit Fisto, and he had to take a group of these dropships to an aqua planet. I believe it was Mon Calamari, as a matter of fact, voice cracked included. and he dove off of the bow that I believed opened up like this. So that's also part of the reason why I decided to make this part of the ship open up like the Venator, because I think that maybe not as big and wide, but I think that was something that kind of already existed in the Acclamator to some degree. Again, because it's kind of a culmination of all the iterations of the Acclamator class assault ship. But continuing on, it's the same on both sides. And there's another turbo lift to get us up to here. A nice long hallway that goes, where does it go? Well, I'll show you. Go right here, which is just another turn, and then a bunch of elevators, which you might already know where we're heading at this point now. We're going up to the bridge. The back of the bridge, the superstructure tower of the bridge, which also, if we come over here and right here, it opens up to the, oh, it's raining. Fiddlesticks. Wait, I'm in creative mode. Can I do this? Can I do this? Set day, no. Set time? Time set. That's what it is. Day. There we go. Sorry about that. I don't really use commands often, so I don't really know what I probably should know at this point. A lot of this is lit up just because there was not a lot of space in here. But this is part that's going to be maybe debated the most, is the bridge. Wow, okay, the rain didn't stop though. The Acclamator assault ship was talked about having an internal bridge with no windows, and if you look at the cross-section and stuff, it'll show it like that. But if you go back to the Clone Wars game that was back on the Xbox One, like the first Xbox, I mean, the GameCube way back then, the whole main menu screen was in the Acclamator assault ships. This was before Venator cruisers were a thing in Star Wars Episode 3. And they did have a window and bridge design iconic to what we now know as the Star Destroyer Bridge, first and foremost, and then eventually the Venator Bridge. In the 2008 Clone Wars TV show, which a lot of people say is like canon or whatever now because Disney canon and stuff like that, they also did have this bridge design. If you look at especially the Ryloth arc, when Obi-Wan and Mace Windu first show up in their Acclamators, but even more so when the Acclamator gets shot out the sky with Mace Windu and Obi-Wan and them are trying to go down to the ground, I believe it's in the second part of the Ryloth arc, they can look out a window clearly and see like the other Acclamator falling. Those aren't screens, those are windows, right? Furthermore, there was an episode also in that show, sorry if that kind of cracked right there because I kind of yelled that, I'm sorry. There was an episode, it's the one where Obi-Wan has to disguise himself as like, first of all he has to fake his death and disguise himself as a bounty hunter, where Dooku tries to capture Palpatine like the last minute he fights Obi-Wan on that planet, or actually Anakin and Obi-Wan shows up. They talk actually in an Acclamator as well, same thing, it has windows, so I'm not 100% sure if that's still a thing, or if that was like a thing between the Acclamator Class 1 and the Class 2, etc. This bridge design is based loosely off of what I saw in those episodes as well, which is kind of like the Venator, where you had the thing in the middle there. It was a bit of a smaller space though, so it's not as wide as the Venator Bridge would be in terms of like its consoles, and even these pit crews, or the bridge pits where consoles should be here, and I'll eventually get those in eventually as well. But that's what this is kind of designed around, is to kind of be like that, a smaller version of the Venator and Star Destroyer bridges. And you can go down here actually to get back to the elevators to get yourself to other parts of the ship as need be. So we can go like right back down, and we can like head ourselves back outside of the ship. So that's what we have built so far. I'm not necessarily done with the Acclamator class. I am kind of worried now, between you and me, dear viewer. Minecraft is updated at the point of recording this video to 1.15, and so it's doing that thing where every time you log in, it's like you need to back up your stuff so that you don't lose it just in case, and you know, etc., which is not dumb or anything, but it's just like it's scary in the terms of like, if it's still raining, you actually use the bed to sleep, right? Yeah, it's still raining, so I know how to do this now. You know, time set night, and then because it's nighttime, what I get to do is use the bed to pass the rain. So you're also seeing examples over here where this was an example of the Venator Bridge I experimented using, or not using, but like designing the bridge design, of course on a bigger scale and stuff like that. Now that it's not raining, you can see this in the light. But I was saying, I'm a little bit afraid of losing the world again, and so while I finally have this built, and again with the rise of Skywalker and Star Wars is going to be a thing that's being talked about for like at least the next week or so, I wanted to kind of get this out for that reason. So here you have it, the Acclamator class assault ship. It's not perfect, and there are other versions that people have built of it on YouTube. I would recommend checking those out too, because those are actually pretty impressive in my opinion. How we all designed the same ship differently and have different things we went for and stuff. And it was kind of cool to see when I was looking up, you know, what did other people do since I did my first one. Not that I'm the first one to do it, but my first Acclamator build was like 5 years ago or something. It was a long time ago, actually. But this is kind of interesting to see then what people have done differently. I'll note these real quick. These like squares at the base of the bridge here. is because some versions of the Acclamator have, I believe, turbo lasers, 4 on each side to defend itself a bit. I wonder if that's the 2 because it's the more of the battleship than the 1 was, but still, when I eventually figure out how to design and build those, that's what they're going at the base of the neck there. But that's the idea with this ship. So hopefully you guys liked it. If you stumbled on this video because you are a Star Wars fan, you like the Republic, you like Minecraft as well in Star Wars, this kind of maybe fits your fancy a little bit. So thank you so much for watching this video. As I spoiled it before, eventually we'll do the Magnificent class over there. We'll probably do more Clone Wars era ships around this area too. So like around the Republic section, we'll start the Venator at some point, and over there with the Magnificent, once we finally get that built and do that video, we'll do the Providence class, the core ship. We'll do blockade runners, we'll do all kinds of stuff. Maybe we'll dip into the Rebellion and Imperial era. I'm debating if I want to make that its own world or do I want to even put that in this world too. We'll figure all of that out later. But that's all for this video. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next. We're just gonna have to wait and see. So until this time, take care and enjoy pizza responsibly. Thank you for watching.